Just envision for just a brief moment that you live in a world where electricity had never been invented. Then, cities would remain dark. People would live without mobile phones and the internet, and even cars would never have been invented in their current form. So, how would we live? What would a world without electricity be like? What would we lose, and how would this absence change the world? Overall, what changes might await humanity? So let's explore a world without electricity together. But before we delve into these topics, I want to ask you to like the video because it helps improve the video's algorithm. So go ahead and hit like right now and be sure to write your opinion about the video. We definitely need your support to continue this journey. Most people credit Benjamin Franklin, the American scientist, with the discovery of electricity. He became interested in the study of electricity in the mid-18th century. In 1752, Franklin conducted an experiment known as the kite experiment to demonstrate that lightning is a form of electricity. The experiment was conducted by Franklin making a kite and attaching a pointed metal rod to it to collect electrical charges from storm clouds. He then tied a wet string to the kite for better conduction of the electric current and attached a metal key at the end. On a stormy day, he flew the kite and took shelter in a dry place to avoid being struck by lightning. Eventually, when the kite got close to the storm clouds, the electrical charge was transferred through the string to the key. Franklin noticed that when he brought his hand close to the key, sparks would form between his fingers and the metal key. Thus, Franklin proved that lightning is the same as electricity. This discovery later led to the recommendation of using lightning rods on towers and buildings. Of course, I should certainly mention that Franklin was extremely lucky, because if the lightning had struck the kite directly, he could have been killed. In fact, unfortunately, other people who repeated this experiment later lost their lives due to direct lightning strikes. In summary, after Franklin, other scientists also began to study lightning. In 1879, Thomas Edison invented an electric light bulb. However, some believe that the true discoverer of electricity was Nikola Tesla, Edison's former colleague, who parted ways with him due to a dispute. Let me tell you a short and interesting story related to their quarrel. Where did the story begin? You know that Nikola Tesla was ethnically Serbian. He was born in a place that at the time was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, but today is located in Croatia. When he came to America, he worked at Edison's company, Unite. At that time, Edison was a proponent of direct current DC electricity and had set up the power distribution network with it, but DC had a problem. The range of power distribution was limited, and transmitting electricity over long distances was very difficult and costly. But what happened next? Tesla had the idea of alternating current, AC, which allowed electricity to be easily transmitted at high voltage and then reduced wherever needed. This system was much more efficient, but Edison was not pleased at all, because he had invested a lot of money and reputation in DC. So the competition and conflict started from there. Of course, you know that electricity was never invented because it's a natural phenomenon and has existed in nature from the beginning. What people did was gradually understand and comprehend electricity, and then they learned how to use it. Franklin conducted this experiment in 1752, but in 1936, a ceramic pot was discovered containing copper plates and an iron rod. This discovery suggests that the first batteries might have been invented more than 2,000 years ago, and humans might have been familiar with electricity long before Franklin. In any case, from the past to today, significant steps have been taken to discover electricity, and if any of them hadn't happened, our world would be very different. Electricity, in the true sense of the word, is the foundation of every aspect of modern life. But now the question is, What would happen if electricity hadn't been discovered? Well, without electricity, not only would household electrical appliances disappear, of course they wouldn't have come into existence, but the entire world of today's technology wouldn't exist either. In fact, life in a world without electricity would be vastly and terrifyingly different from what we know today. Just imagine for a moment that there were no big colorful TVs and monitors, or that with the sunset and the arrival of night, we would be plunged into darkness and gloom. At the very least, we would have to rely on the limited and temporary light of candles, torches, and oil lamps to illuminate our homes and streets. Or just for a moment, think about the fact that there would be no mobile phones for making calls and sending messages. But worse than that is the absence of the internet for learning or social interactions. In this way, a world without electricity would not only lag behind technologically, but would also experience social, cultural, and even economic transformations that might be hard for us to imagine now. So, let's delve into this topic a bit more precisely. First, let's think about a world without electricity. Today, most of our means of transportation depend on electricity. From electric trains to electric cars that are charged with electricity. In a world without electricity, none of these would exist. And instead of high-speed bullet trains and advanced cars, people would still rely on donkeys, oxen, carts, and carriages for transporting passengers and goods. Additionally, if electricity had never been invented, we might still be forced to use older methods, such as manual farming without electric engines, to meet our food and other needs. At that time, instead of using traditional, fast, and easy machinery, the world would still be dependent on manual, labor-intensive, and time-consuming agriculture. Moreover, this significant change in industries due to the absence of electricity would also limit factory production, because product manufacturing would rely solely on human labor and steam power, and mass production at the speed we know today would not occur. But what would an ordinary day at home without electricity be like? Well, we would probably still have to use coal stoves instead of central heating systems to warm the house. Or we would have to cook all our meals on regular stoves. But more challenging than these was the issue of the icebox. If there was no electricity, we would have to use iceboxes to store food. Moreover, there would be no convenient household appliances like washing machines, dishwashers, vacuum cleaners, and microwaves. People would have to wash their clothes and dishes by hand, clean their homes, and heat their food themselves, which would mean a harder and more labor-intensive life. Now let's move on to the topic of how the absence of electricity would harm our world of communication and information. Well, if there was no electricity, communication methods would be designed differently. Instead of smartphones and the internet, people would have to rely on old methods like letter writing and face-to-face meetings. Therefore, the speed of news transmission would also drastically decrease, and sometimes it might even take several days for important news to travel from one city to another to inform or warn people. Moreover, when there is no news from television, radio, internet, and computers, news becomes limited to local individuals, which is why the reliability of news is also severely questioned. But perhaps one of the most impactful areas is the effect of the lack of electricity on medicine and healthcare. Today, medical advancements have been made possible through the use of electrical devices such as radiology, MRI, and echocardiography or ultrasound. However, without electricity, doctors cannot obtain accurate images of the inside of the human body, and as a result, many diseases may not be easily treated. Additionally, many scientific achievements that currently allow us to quickly diagnose diseases would be severely limited in a world without electricity. However, instead of advanced surgeries and medical devices, people would be forced to use more primitive methods such as herbal medicines and traditional healers. In other words, to treat diseases, people would have to rely on natural resources and manual treatments, which would take significantly more time to heal and might not even be very effective. Now, with these details, a challenging question arises. Do you think humanity could have achieved today's scientific and technological advancements through another path without electricity? Well, some scientists answer this question affirmatively. They believe that yes, perhaps in a world without electricity, humans would have been forced to discover new energy sources and other innovations. For example, I mean that maybe in a world without electricity, people would have paid more attention to and relied on other forms of energy like solar energy, wind energy, or even water currents, and ideas might have come to their minds that we can't even imagine today. We haven't even thought about them until now. Therefore, one of the interesting theories in this area is that perhaps in the absence of electricity, humanity would have moved towards more sustainable societies, away from advanced technologies, in such a way that life might have progressed more simply and in harmony with nature. It might even have been that the absence of electricity would have led to a healthier environment, because in that case, there would have been fewer factories to cause pollution, meaning cleaner air and less harm to nature. A simpler life and more care for the planet with less consumption and preservation of resources for the future. Well, now you tell me. Do you think if electricity hadn't been invented, how would the world have reached new advancements? Write your opinion in the comments so we can have a lively discussion together. So, the invention of electricity has had a profound impact on all aspects of human life, from transportation and communication to medicine and everyday comfort. Without electricity, our world would have been completely different. However, even if electricity had not been discovered, humanity would still have found ways to tackle challenges and solve problems. The lesson of this story is that the power of human innovation never disappears. Because even in difficult situations, humans continue to seek solutions for survival, continuity, and progress. I hope you enjoyed this video and that it made you think. I'm sure you haven't forgotten to like the video and turn on the notification bell.